Hi everybody and welcome back to Lost Genre Reddit Stories. Quick info, this first story I may have read it about 2 years ago but I couldn't find it, so I'm gonna read it all over again because we have a final update. So let's get started. This post is from the subreddit Am I the A-hole and it's by user Throwaway Downsizing. Am I the a-hole for telling my fiancé that if he expects me to contribute 50-50, we have to make some serious lifestyle changes? My 26 female fiancé, 26 male, sat me down yesterday and gave me a long talk about how he feels like I don't contribute enough to the household, particularly in the financial sense. I was a bit caught off guard by this, but was willing to hear him out since he wasn't wrong. He makes a lot more than I do, and we've always split bills accordingly, which ends up being about 80% him. I asked what he wanted me to pay now, and he was adamant about it being 50-50. I asked if everything was okay with his job or if he needed to take fewer hours, and he wouldn't answer me. I honestly wouldn't have gotten upset if there seemed like an actual reason behind it. But he just said he'd been thinking about it a lot over and over every time I asked what brought him to this conclusion, what was going on, and eventually he just said, "This is how it's going to be, take it or leave it." Those exact words in response to literally everything I said. Full shutdown, no explanations. I told him that was fine, I'll take it, and then asked if he'd made a Zillow account yet or expected me to. He looked confused and asked why we would need a Zillow account. I explained that there's no way I can afford half rent on our current place, so we'll probably have to move into a one-bedroom apartment. He got mad and asked why I didn't have savings. I told him that I do, but I'm not paying rent out of my savings because that's a terrible and unsustainable idea. I also began to go over what our new food budget would be, our new entertainment budget, and that we'd probably have to sell the cars and get one less expensive one because I can't afford half of the payments on an Audi and a Land Rover. Then I explained that date nights would probably have to be reduced too, and we could still do like Buffalo Wild Wings or something, but I preferred Thursday nights because you get 2 orders of boneless wings for one. Basically, if he wants me to pay half, we're living within my means, not his anymore. He kind of agreed to it, but since then, he's been incredibly angry. He's not saying or doing anything, but it's like he's walking around the house in this cloud of pissed off. That sounds like it smells bad. I sent him 6 Zillow listings, all of which he's called uninhabitable for various reasons. Some of which I think were valid, others I disagree with. He's now saying that I'm being unfair and manipulative, and that he tried to come to me with a serious concern about our relationship, and I'm making it impossible for him to talk to me and bulldozing over him. Am I the a-hole? OP, you're not the a-hole. You matched his energy with clarity and not cruelty. He demanded 50-50, and you responded with what that actually looks like. He wanted some sort of equality only on his terms, and he wanted to box you into something without adjusting lifestyle, without context, without partnership, and that's not equality. You didn't shut him down, you asked questions that he refused to answer. You also made clear what the budget would have to look like, and he got mad because the fantasy of 50-50 cracked when met with reality. But the thing is that this isn't about money, it's about mindset. When you're in a relationship, when you are a partner, then you collaborate. And that brings you to a choice that you will have to make based on a question that, will your boyfriend or is your boyfriend capable of collaborating? And what do you guys think? Let me know in the comment section, and now let's move on to the community comments. Microcosmic Unicorn says, not the a-hole. I only see 3 possible reasons here. 1. He expected you to say no and leave so he'd get out of the relationship without being the bad guy. Why he'd want that is anybody's guess, but simultaneously painfully obvious. If this is true, he's angry because now he has to break it off himself and or figure out another way to get you to leave. 2. His income has decreased and he's in denial and unwilling to adjust his lifestyle to his new financial reality and wants you to at least partly enable his denial. If this is true, he's angry because he's being forced to face the facts and is irrationally blaming you. And 3, someone, his friends, his mom, you name it, has gotten it into his head that unless you contribute an exact half of everything, you're a gold digger and only with him for the money. If this is true, he's angry because you being willing to not only go 50-50 on expenses, but also significantly lower the standard of life you had with him to be able to contribute 50% is throwing significant wrench in his ability to brag to whoever brainwashed him about how he forced you to come clean about your gold digger tendencies. Odd Welcome 7940 says, not the a-hole. I really loved your style. He thought he had a gold digger and you flipped the script pretty well. This was awesome. Next question though. You seem like such an intelligent and decent person. Why are you with such an ignorant and self-centered prick? Cold Trash Panda says, making up jobs and numbers. You make 20k as an engineer, I make 30k in retail. I'm fine living a life where we spend the same amount, but I literally cannot keep up because I'd have to pull tens of thousands of dollars out of thin air. The only option to make this work is if we both live like we both make 30k. Not the a-hole. The only options to give him what he wanted was spend less or drain savings and enter credit card debt. And Deleted says, not the a-hole at all, and you're making perfect sense in my mind. If he wants 50-50, he needs to understand that your income is the limiting agent in this reaction. It does sound like he has something else going on, and I would mentally prepare for him to call the wedding off. This sounds like he is coming up with reasons to get rid of you in his mind, but he does not want to come off as the bad guy. Additional information from OP's comments. I make around 30k a year and he makes about 120k. So up until now, we've been splitting all our shared expenses by the same percentage of our incomes, me paying roughly 20% and him covering 80%. He even gave me the Audi as a surprise birthday gift, a huge gesture that included covering the car payments afterward. I know he's been subsidizing my payments, but it still stung when he acted like my savings and contributions weren't enough. If he really insists on a straight 50-50 split, I'd essentially have to downsize to living entirely within my means. I could maybe afford a trailer by myself, but that's about it. We'd need to sell one or both of our cars, move into a one-bedroom, slash our food and entertainment budgets, even curb my Thursday night Buffalo Wild Wings treat. I value stability more than luxury. I'd much rather live small and secure than burn through my finite savings just to keep pace. On top of that, I work 40 to 45 hours a week as a preschool teacher and I don't have a college degree. I can't afford one right now and I've never even wanted kids. We already split housework pretty evenly. I do most of the cooking, he does most of the cleaning, and with his vasectomy, babies aren't part of this equation. What's been especially painful is how overnight our communication went from open and planned to a total shutdown. I asked if something was wrong at his job, but he refused to give me a straight answer. It just feels like a weird power play. Since that conversation, he's been glowering around the house, headphones on, running on his treadmill to that anime-style dubstep he likes when he's angry. I love him and plan to marry him. I'm not about to walk away over something we haven't even tried to resolve. I just don't know how to approach him without coming off as petty, or worse, a bitch. I want him to feel appreciated, so I'm waiting for him to calm down before I try talking again. Well, the community agrees that OP is not the a-hole and they're raising some red flags that OP is seeing, but she wants to try to work this out, or at least that's what she told us in the additional information. So let's move on to the first update to see what happened next. Hi everyone, this got way bigger than intended, so I figured a follow-up was owed. So last time I posted was Monday. Monday as a whole was spent just sorting through what I felt and what to do next. There was a lot of silence and a lot of anger and a lot of Reddit advice, some of which I found very insightful, some of which was less so. Also, some people think I made this up as part of a viral marketing sponsorship between Buffalo Wild Wings, Audi, and Zillow, which honestly would solve the money problems if true. But alas, it's not the case. On Tuesday, after I got home from work, I sort of just walked up to him on the elliptical and explained as calmly as I could that I had questions. I told him that if he actually wanted to marry me, he needed to be willing to answer them. I asked if he thought I was a gold digger, yes or no. He said yes. I told him that I wasn't willing to be in a relationship where I have to prove myself by sacrificing any sort of stability, and that led to a bit of a screaming match and eventually a confession. So it turns out we cannot afford anything we have right now. We are in serious credit card debt. The cars are both on the verge of being repossessed, and I did not know about any of this. He's been cutting corners on actual necessities, including psychiatric medication. That, in combination with some comments from his family, led him to some pretty dark places. I discovered that despite his $120K salary, we'd actually been running through almost $200K a year, about $80K more than we earned. And it finally clicked why everything collapsed. My fiance had a full breakdown and apologized for calling me a gold digger, which was nice to hear, but this whole thing had me pretty shaken up. I went to stay with a friend for a little bit. Yesterday, my fiance and I did in fact go out to Buffalo Wild Wings and get the 2-for-1 boneless. We talked a lot. I'm still writing Fiance for now, and I really hope we can work through all of this. We talked about how to sell the cars, we don't particularly have a choice at this point, and about my income, his income, and the sort of life we want to have. If we do stay together, we'll be changing how we live a lot. We need to get out of debt. We need to get on our feet. I know some people are going to say I'm being dumb for not immediately dropping all contact and giving up on the relationship, but I can't do that. I can't look at the guy I love who went off his meds to try and make a good life for me and think he's not worth sticking around for, at least to try. I've told him flat out I'm not here to mother him or sweep his mistakes under the rug. He needs to step up and get better, or, as he so often says, take it or leave it. I don't know what the future looks like at all anymore though, and the wedding is very postponed at the moment. Sorry this wasn't a more fun update. Okay, so this was 2 years ago, and apparently the community did not like this update because OP made another post that I'm not going to read because it's quite long, and it's just OP saying all the wonderful things about the boyfriend. And through that post, yeah, he sounds wonderful. So now, let's move on to the final update, 2 years after the original post, to see how this story ends. We are out of debt. I feel so good to say that and have it be true. But as of 3 days ago, everything is finally paid off and we've made our way back onto solid ground. Almost 2 years ago, I made a post here about my fiance wanting to split things 50-50 and my offer of compromising on life changes. As it turned out, he was off his meds and had managed to get himself into some serious debt, a little under $100K, trying to provide a life that we could not afford on a combined $155,000 a year. Things were rough. I almost left him a few times, but we have finally made it through to the other side. I handle the finances, 100% of the finances. I give him a budget for buying coffee. It wasn't fun, but in exchange he started doing more of the housework, so it evens out. I locked every penny we earn into a high-interest savings account. No stock gambles, no get-rich-quick schemes. Every payday we sit down together and I steer us through the budget line by line, making sure there's zero chance of slipping back into old spending habits. We moved from our over-the-top apartment into a shared living situation, which, while not ideal, was leagues better than my initial plan of getting a trailer. We have roommates, but they're on another floor, so it's not too bad. And we have our own bathroom, which was my only real stipulation. We've lived like we're a $70K a year couple, doing actual 50-50 finances, and every extra penny he's made has gone directly to paying off the debt. We sold off our flashy cars, obviously, traded them in for a nice used Ford Maverick and a Vespa. That helped, and consolidating the rest of the debt made a massive dent. Even though he brings in $120K a year, we only needed about $35K of that to cover living costs once everything was slimmed down. It was tough proof that consistency and dedication actually do pay off. There have been no more lavish vacations or over-the-top restaurants with €500 price tags. It was rough for my fiancé at first. He's always been very much a rich boy, and I think losing that as an identity was difficult for him. His family still isn't one big happy clan. We keep our distance and skip Sunday dinners, but they've quietly thanked me for pulling him out of debt. That being said, he's gotten so creative lately. It's been amazing to see. He will make me things if he can't buy me things, and we've started cooking together instead of having me do almost all of it. Our room is covered in the things he's made for me, and it's really lovely. We're still in love. We're still going strong, and now that we've built a real cushion in our locked-down savings account, I'm even letting us slowly loosen the purse strings, but only under my watchful eye. First on the agenda is finding our own place. No more roommates. And once our new financial rhythm is rock solid, we might even add a second car. After that comes the wedding we've been waiting to plan. A small church ceremony with about 70 guests, followed by a murder mystery reception. Yes, really. One thing's for sure, we're never going back to how things were. I don't know how things would have ended up if I hadn't had the courage of my convictions, and I'm genuinely grateful to those who directed me to Dave Ramsey and Caleb Hammer. Y'all are awesome. Well, OP, congratulations and good for you and for your boyfriend. You're right, it was the courage of your convictions. You saw something, you wanted to make it better, he was in for it, you guys pulled out of this as a team. With your leadership. Good for you. So here's wishing all your future plans come to life, OP. Take care and thanks for sharing. And now let's move on to the next post that also has an update. This post is from the subreddit Am I the A-hole, and it's by user ThrowawayYay6499. Am I the a-hole for breaking up with my girlfriend because she slept with someone after saying I love you? I was close friends with my girlfriend for a few years. Recently, she asked me out, which was weird because I don't think she ever saw me that way. She actually confessed that she was actually in love with me for a while now. I'll be honest, I don't know if this was the right move, but I told her I felt the same. Some dates later, things were going good. Until she had the exclusivity talk. I asked, wait, we aren't exclusive? And she said, we never talked about it. I told her she told me she loved me. That's as exclusive as you can get without saying it. I asked her if she's been seeing anyone or sleeping with anyone while dating me. She confessed that she did sleep with a one-night stand. I told her she's insane. I told her we were done. She tried to apologize and say she didn't think we were exclusive. I told her she's just using that as an excuse. Am I the a-hole? Am I just so far removed from dating to think saying I love you should imply exclusivity? OP, you're not the a-hole. She said she loved you and started dating you but slept with someone else? That's not a misunderstanding. I love you, in my opinion, implies a commitment. It's the commitment of love, and that's the biggest one. If she wanted something open, she should have said so. You're not wrong for expecting exclusivity. You're wrong for assuming she valued it the same way. But don't feel bad for expecting love to mean loyalty. That's not outdated. That's just basic respect. What do you guys think? Let me know in the comment section, and now let's check out the community comments. Kitchen Chemical 159 says, absolutely not the a-hole. If someone tells me they have been in love with me for a while and we started dating each other, I would expect exclusivity. However, in today's dating and hookup culture, it can be viewed both ways. In my opinion, I would say not the a-hole. I would be devastated if this was I going through it, and 100% done. Nefarious Fresh 24 says, so she's in love with you but goes on to have one-night stands? Not the a-hole. Once you drop the L-bomb, your days of effing around are over. And Trailsia says, not the a-hole. My god, that is just weird as F. In love for a long time, she finally got the guy and then a one-night stand with someone else? I really wonder what dimension she came from, but it's not a normal one. Yeah, so big fat not the a-hole. Alright, well, the majority of the community agrees that OP is not the a-hole, so now let's move on to the update to see how this story ends. Thank you all for your comments. So I ran into my now ex. We still share a friend group. She tried to talk to me and I did hear her out. Nothing she said changed my mind. She apologized, said she'd misunderstood and that she loves me and regrets what she did. I told her thanks, but it's too late now. She hurt me and I don't think I can trust her. I told her I need some space from her. So yeah, that's pretty much how it went. Something I learned is that the whole exclusive thing is weird. I find it really sad that some of you want to live life on technicalities. I am really curious how long you would be willing to do this. How many months would you be okay with? Also, she could have brought it up before she slept with anyone. Honestly, this is partly why I don't think I can trust her. I believe she was banking on being technically okay. Sadly, I'm not built like that. You can lawyer my emotions all you want, but I'm not gonna deal with BS like that just because of technicalities. Well, it'll be good for you. You stood on your principle and you didn't allow somebody else to lawyer you with technicalities, as you say. Thanks for sharing, OP, and take care. And that's it for today's video. Thank you so much for taking the time to watch it. Now, if you've gotten to this point in the video, I assume that you like these stories that I'm reading out. So here are a couple more that you might enjoy. And if you don't have any time to watch another story right now, save it for later. And also, don't forget to hit that subscribe button.